what John, Rashawn, and Dell don't know is that I'm actually playing a game in this episode of MCU Reviewed. I am going to say, by casually slipping and not so casually slipping the titles of each of the songs of Awesome Mix into the conversation today. Tell me what order I said them in at facebook.com/the Geekiverse. You'll see the status that I want you to comment on. I'm giving away a free We Are Groot Geekiverse t-shirt. We're going to pick a winner at random. Also, I'm going to give away a bonus shirt at random if John, Rashawn, or Dell pick up on what I'm doing during the episode. Good luck.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a long few weeks. Welcome back to the MCU Reviewed here on the Geekiverse channel, as sponsored by our friends over at Fantastic. Thanks for sticking with us here. We unfortunately ran into a few scheduling snafus. We are back, and there's really, I would say, no better one to come back to at this point than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, come on. This is one of the only movies I own physically, and I didn't bring it up here. I'm such an idiot. I could have been rocking with you.
Come on. Do you have this version? This cover?
I do not.
Probably.
No, I don't have a slipcover on mine. I don't think.
I have that cover. If you don't have that cover, you don't have the movie. It's just there.
Well then,
Yikes.
I think after this episode, you are going to be hooked on a feeling. And honestly, guys, we're going to get all the way to the rankings here as we've been doing week to week. I don't know truly where this will sit. Will it go all the way? I don't know. Time will tell. Stay tuned for later in the show. I've got some high hopes. Anyway, I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, Baba Yaga himself, John Fick.
I'm so happy to be back here, man. It's felt like far too long. It's been like a week and a half, but it has felt like a month, man. This has been such an awesome staple of my week, so it's been tough to not be doing this.
I have missed this, and we are about to hit a hot stretch of movies here, relatively speaking. Rashawn Anderson, the Platinum King. Rashawn, you ready to talk some Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, I am. This is one of the weeks I've been waiting for. This was a fun one. Still is a fun one.
Good answer. And of course, it's really, really good to have Mr. Del Reed himself back. Del, if you don't know, is the co-founder or co-owner and co-founder of 26 Shirts and Fantastic, who sponsors the show. Some really, really good stuff, which we'll get into there. But Del, I know you're excited to talk Guardians.
I missed you guys so much. I am so happy to be back. It's been really tough the past few movies listening to it, the podcast, and not being able to weigh in. So it's good to see your faces. It's good to hear some of your terrible takes, and I'm looking forward to.
I have to ask.
He was pointing out Rashawn there for sure.
No. I have to ask who has upsetted you the most out of us three? Don't hold back. I know
Probably
it's not
Rashawn.
me, but don't hold back.
It's Rashawn.
Might be Rashawn. I don't know.
Gotta love it.
Oh man,
It's all love over here. It's all subjective.
It is.
It's all subjective.
The gloves came off during some of the Iron Man sequels there, as we saw Rashawn lose his mind, which was fun.
And lose his snap.
We're back here though. Oh, he lost his snap. Oh, that makes it all the more sweet for me.
Whatever.
So if you're watching the video version, you'll see that John is wearing a really nice shirt. It says Buffalo on it in the Marvel logo. I've got a shirt on as well in the Mandalorian theme that says the Buffalonian. These are from Fantastic. So, Del, just in a quick nutshell, if you want to give just the spiel for what you guys do, and then we'll get into the meat of the show.
Yeah, Fantastic is a subdivision of 26 Shirts, which is our local t-shirt company here in Buffalo, where we try to come up with really cool designs that represent, aspects of the city of Buffalo, whether it's, the teams or the city itself. And for every shirt we sell, we give back to the community, normally to a family in need. And Fantastic allows us to explore the geeky part, of the ideas that we have in terms of t-shirts, because we love our Bills, we love our Sabres, but sometimes, man, you just got to do a Captain America shirt. So, but yeah, so we're just, happy to be a part of all this, and we love the Geekiverse, and we're happy to support everything they do.
Well, thanks for sponsoring the show. Last thought here. What is your running tally for how much you've raised for these families, these charities in need?
Yeah, we're currently at $788,000 and change that we've managed to raise so far. So very proud of that. And it's, we get a lot of credit for other people's generosity. We can put out all the different shirts in the world on the internet. But if people don't believe in what we do when they don't buy them, then nothing good happens.
So, hey, knocking on the door at 800 there. That's pretty awesome. And before you know it, we'll be at 1 million. That's awesome, man. Thanks for all you do.
My pleasure, believe me. Thanks for all you do. I love your site. I love all the work that Geekiverse puts out. All the everything you guys do. I love it.
It means a lot. We have a lot of fun doing it. So thank you for being a part of it. Guardians of the Galaxy. We talked pre-show very briefly because it was hard not to keep a lid on all these feelings for our this movie in general. So Dell and I kind of were talking about. Dell said it was the gateway movie. I always said that was Avengers for me, but man, this one took me to an even higher level than that one could have. So just kind of initial thoughts on the movie. I know we're gonna get real into this one. There's no doubt about it. This may be a longer episode. We'll do our best, but just quick feelings on the movie itself in general. We'll start with John.
I don't know how you watch this movie and don't love it, man. It's just so much fun. Start to finish, it's just a blast. The soundtrack, the style, the cast, the comedy, it's so good. You say this is kind of the one that clicked for you, maybe more so than Avengers. For me, it was the one that I realized, okay, I trust them. Because when I first saw these trailers, I'm like, Marvel, what are you doing? Like, come on, there's a talking raccoon. Oh my God, there's a tree. Is that the guy from Parks and Rec? He's a super. What's going on? I think I'm done. I didn't think I was done, but I'm like, all right, this is a pass. I really don't. This is a pass for me. And I didn't see this movie in theaters. I really did skip out on it, even after I heard all like my friends praise it. They were all like, it was great. I'm like, I'm sure it is. I'll catch it eventually. The premise just didn't hit for me. The vibe of the movie that is so clear when you watch it just didn't hit for me in the trailers for whatever reason. And it's on me for not being, not paying attention enough or not, doing enough research to figure out that this movie is going to be awesome, because it certainly was that, man. I love this movie so much.
So John saw the trailer, said, I'm not in love, saw the movie, and said, I'm back in.
Oh my God, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I trust you. You have my full trust, Marvel. Like, do whatever you want. You're going to give me an Ant-Man? I'm in. You're going to give me... I don't care. Full trust.
That's a good way to put it. It's on my notes, so I'm just going to jump to it real quick. I remember the month before this came out, Game Informer magazine. So I still had a subscription for Game Informer magazine. If GameStop sold that, I think they still technically do, actually, maybe. But anyway, they had a calendar, not just for game releases, but for movies. And they had a quick synopsis, not a synopsis really, but just a few sentences on Guardians of the Galaxy before it came out. And it basically, to paraphrase it, said, okay, Marvel, this is the one. They're seeing how far they can push us. Because to this point, we've loved every Marvel movie. If they can make Guardians of the Galaxy a success, they can make anything a success. And to a point, they did that, I think. Rashawn, overall feelings on the movie here.
Yeah, same sentiments as John. Like, I remember when this was first shown, I was just like, again, fresh after Winter Soldier, I'm just like, I think maybe the trailer may have been shown before Winter Soldier came out. But even still, I'm just like, what the heck are we doing at this point? And again, for me, y'all know how I feel about these movies. After seeing Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, technically not having seen Winter Soldier yet, I was like, I don't know where we're going. It doesn't look good. Like, any bad thing you could have said about the promotion for this movie, or just the way the movie looked, I should say, I had said. And I remember it came a time when a buddy of mine just hit me up and wanted to go see this on opening day. And I wasn't going to. I was just going to go see it whenever. I'm just like, oh, you know what? I haven't seen this friend in a while. Let's go. And this is still, to this day, was it 6 years later? Arguably, still the funnest experience I've ever had at a movie theater. This movie is incredible. Yeah, that is just, I can't talk about my first impression of this movie without saying how terrible I thought it was going to be. I even thought at one point it wasn't even going to connect. I thought it was going to be a one-off movie.
I wanted to say that too. Yeah, because we were still early MCU, and like X-Men was still happening, and like we were just fresh off like sort of the Raimi trilogy. Spider-Man 3 wasn't that far ago. It's like the MCU was still a new idea to me. So when I saw this, I didn't even think it was the MCU. I'm like, oh, Marvel has licenses out there, and people are making movies, and I don't think I knew that until like deep into the movie being out there and people being really all about it. I did not think this movie connected to the MCU when I first saw the trailers, for sure.
And this was a perfect example of, and what solidified my first impressions with this for me, like when I watched it, like one of the things I had is like, this is proof, like John said, that they can do whatever. Like the MCU gets praised for taking B and C level heroes from the comics and turning them into A plus S tier characters that people love and care about. This was at the time the most risky thing they've ever done. This was Guardians of the Galaxy before this movie was D, maybe even F tier Marvel. It was definitely D, D or lower for sure. So this really solidified that, okay, like John said, I trust them. You do whatever y'all want, and I'll back off and I'll wait till release day to judge.
So on the flip side, I legitimately was excited to see this with the trailer. I was like, this looks like a blast. I'm all about it. I also wasn't sure if it connected really in the terms of the MCU. I thought legitimately it was a spoof movie by Marvel spoofing their own stuff. And I was all about it. That's fine. I was like, sign me up. This is great. It looks like a pretty good cast. It looks like it's going to be a good time. That was only scratching the surface. It just truly, the rest is history. Del, give us your thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, when it was first, when the trailer was released, and even when the movie first came out, it didn't really even register much with me. I was like, oh, this must be like some off-brand Marvel movie, like just like this guy. I didn't think it, whether it was a a Sony thing or like whatever. I didn't even give it much attention. I was like, oh, space. I like space movies. That's cool. I'll get to it. And then I talked to my friend Dan a week or so after he'd seen it. He's like, bro, you have to see this movie, and I will go see it with you. I want to see it again. And I was like, all right. And walked out of the theater going, holy crap, that was the most fun I've had in years. Like nonstop, just from the jump. The entire movie is fun. And even afterwards, I didn't really realize if they were going to connect it into the bigger MCU. I knew they were talking about like Infinity Gauntlet type stuff, but even at that point, like I was like, are they even doing anything with this really in the bigger picture? So, but yeah, I love it. It's my, then my kids saw it. They love it. My wife saw it. She loved it. Like it's just such a universally enjoyable film. You can go into that movie and you don't have to know all the movies that happened before, and just it's cool that if you know that stuff, you get some of the references and everything, especially like in the collector shop, which I'm sure we'll get into. But there's so many Easter eggs and nods in this movie. But you can go into it not having any Marvel knowledge whatsoever and just enjoy it, as opposed to say like Ultron, where you go into it and if you didn't see Winter Soldier, you have no idea what happened to Shield, and like it's dependent on so many of the previous movies. This one's just it could have been done just as a one-off, and maybe they did that on purpose because they didn't know how it was going to land. But such a great movie.
Yeah, I've got some notes about that, and I think it's kind of like an encompassing point to talk about. If this wasn't an MCU movie, I almost think it would be maybe even more praised. I think this is like legitimately one of the best sci-fi movies I've ever seen. It is so different and it's so unique. Like I think it would be a different kind of like cult following, but it's such a unique sci-fi movie. Like no one has ever used comedy like this. The production value is so good. It's an incredible sci-fi movie removed from the MCU.
I'm sorry, guys.
Losing it.
Laura's being a jerk right now. What do you want? She's like pushing the switch in front of me. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. She wants Animal Crossing. I don't know.
Do you just have Animal Crossing in your pocket?
I saw his face. I was trying not to.
I was trying so hard for the last 5 minutes, and every time I would push it away, she would just like shove it. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, everybody.
You're good. I have a tweet that
Animal Crossing.
I tweeted it yesterday. So I was sitting in my room in this office yesterday, listening to a podcast, and I felt like I was hearing a faint yelling, and I'm like, nah, what's going on? I look at my phone, and it says, "Come here, come here, come here." I'm like, what? What's wrong? I walk into the other room. Courtney's playing Animal Crossing. She goes, "My online service is gone, and I want my friend to come over." And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're screaming at me from the other room. So I can relate. I can absolutely relate.
Lauren's like, I swore I heard her coming down the stairs, so I kind of did this real quick, and all of a sudden, like she's talking to me, and I'm like, the kids are right now. And then she's holding the case and the Switch, and it says Crash on the screen because, as you know, on Geeks Got Game I played Crash last, even though the cartridge is in the system. So she's here. I'm like
not a good time. She's like, no, it's a good time. I need Animal Crossing.
Daisy must be asleep, so she's like pushing this forward, and I just kind of subtly pushed it back, and then she pushed it back even harder, and like the Blu-rays are falling off the thing here. I couldn't hold it anymore.
I can't wait to rewatch this when I know the context.
That's what Animal Crossing does to people.
Yeah, man, it's real.
It makes them lose their minds. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. Is it my turn to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did I interrupt everybody?
No, you're good. What did you think about the movie?
John, I was so gonna be like, John, cue up the
trailer?
box office numbers real quick and talk about it. And I was just gonna be like, busy. Okay, so this was, if you will, a Moon Age daydream for Marvel, right? Like, this was a big risk. It's Rashawn says they had Iron Man 3, they had Dark World, Winter Soldier trailer right around this time as well. They really needed this to pay off. They probably could have had a misstep and been okay, but at the same time, the MCU was still relatively new, and this truly was like Avengers level, almost. I think. I don't know if it's quite there. You could argue that it is, but it just brought in so many people who had not maybe previously been fans of Marvel or fans of comic book movies or comic books in general. Like, I went and got a few Guardians of the Galaxy comics after seeing this. That was a big deal. I do not buy a lot of comics, but this was such a special movie to me. And I've got it in my notes. We'll get around to everybody's notes, but when I think back to the year this came out and watching it, and like, this was our fall asleep movie. We always had it on in the background. I've easily seen this movie 35 times. It was like seeing Star Wars for the first time, which, as you know, Star Wars as a franchise, as an IP, is my favorite anything when it comes to pop culture. I love it. This was like when I remember I was 6 years old seeing A New Hope for the first time. That was it. This was, in a way, it's how I view it, my generation's Star Wars, in some way, shape, or form, which again is high praise for how I view Star Wars. So I think other people felt the same when it comes to that. John, do we want to talk about just box office numbers and release date for this?
Yeah, I don't have release date. I can get it quickly. But before I go box office, I wanted to bring up the budget for this guy. So $332 million budget, more than Avengers. Like, and it shows, man.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to think about the cast. We're going to talk about some of our favorite characters in this, but they brought the A-list actors, they brought the high tier B-list actors. Like, that salary for your cast was up there, but the production value in this film is absolutely insane. Like, everything looks so good. The CGI is like nothing. I mean, it's been really good up to this point, but like, it's tough to do. So many different like space effects and lasers and stuff like that, and all these different characters that are not human. It's flawless, and it even holds up to this day. So that $332 million budget really shows. What it made in the box office was $772 million, which is a ton of money for a brand new IP. Like, I mean, Marvel wasn't Marvel yet. The MCU wasn't the MCU yet. It wasn't a quick, hole punch, easy billion like it seems to be nowadays. But I mean, yeah, 772 for a brand new IP that like fans of comic books and stuff like that, like me, were skeptical about. That's excellent.
It is, because you think about it, and that's comparable to numbers that the recent Wonder Woman movie put up. Like, that's a well-established, long-running, beloved character. So when you have this, where maybe a lot of comic book fans are like, "Are you kidding me? This is where we're going next. All the superheroes we want to see on screen, and you're putting Guardians of the Galaxy in there." Yeah, it really does say a lot. It did well, no doubt about it. We did all kind of talk about, to some degree, our first viewing with it. John, you said you didn't see it in theaters. You just saw it when it came to home video pretty much right away, or was it a few years down the line?
I really can't even tell you. I don't think it was a few years down the line, but I remember being like, it was 1 year, and Courtney was asking me what like I should put on a Christmas list for her parents to like give me a couple things for Christmas, and I'm like, you know what, that Guardians movie is out, and I really I haven't seen that, so they got me the Blu-ray, and like I got it. I'm like, awesome, I'm gonna go home and watch this. I watched it Christmas night. So like I left their house Christmas Day and watched it Christmas night. And that was one of the first experiences I ever had, because my house was like super loud because it was still Christmas. But it was one of the first experiences I had watching a movie on my Xbox with headphones, because you can plug headphones into your Xbox controller. I do that all the time now. Super, super awesome. But I just remember being like theater quality immersed in that movie, just sitting there with headphones, just being like, oh my God, why did I wait so long? So it was probably Christmas of the year that it came out on Blu-ray.
and I think I picked it up day one for Blu-ray, and we watched it so many times. This came out right after Lauren and I got married, so early on we seriously watched this so much. I can't even tell you. It's the only movie so far in our MCU reviewed series that I've watched twice before we recorded here. I watched it whatever night, maybe Sunday night, and we had another scheduling backup. But the next night, Lauren was like, "What Marvel movie you guys have next?" And I said, "Guardians." So you watched it without me?
Courtney did the same thing.
I was like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "Do you want to watch it again, or would you watch it if I put it in?" She's like, "Yeah." Lauren's like, she's very close to bedtime. We're recording this at 9:22. Like, she'll be asleep after her little Animal Crossing session, but she stayed up for most of this movie. So that says a lot. Says a lot for her. You know her. You guys want to cue up the trailer?
Yeah, let's get it going. The trailer that didn't get me hooked for some reason.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys got it?
Yeah, I haven't seen this trailer since all of the nasty things I've said about these trailers. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a different lens now. We love the movie. We're going to see those characters, and it's not going to hit the same way it did when we were like, what is this raccoon doing? All right, gentlemen, you can go ahead and play it.
Yeah, hey, go, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
Star-Lord.
Who?
Well, Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Forget it.
We arrested these five on Xandar. Check out the rap sheets. Drax, aka the Destroyer. Since his wife and family were killed, he's been on a rampage across the galaxy in his search for vengeance. Gamora, soldier, assassin, wanted on over a dozen counts of murder. Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot has been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle. Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked. Hey, that's mine. You son of a... Hey, take those headphones off right now!
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What a bunch of a-holes.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
I don't know how I could have seen that trailer and not been all in. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20.
I was just wondering that. Like, how did you watch that and not get engaged?
Knowing what we know now, it's such a different filter we put it through because like we're so charmed by this.
All I gotta say is, ooh, child, because damn, I love watching that trailer back, and I know it's easy to say in hindsight, I really was hyped by seeing that as we were going into it, and like Hooked on a Feeling was ingrained into my head because I watched that trailer so many times by the time I got to the actual movie. Like I didn't know Awesome Mix was a thing yet, the soundtrack to the movie.
Yeah.
But it was in there. It was in my heart already that I knew I was going to love.
Are you trying to use all of the titles of the Awesome Mix in this show at one point?
Yes, I am.
I know you were. I gotcha. I saw you slipped in like three already.
Well, actually 5, John. We'll talk about it as we get towards the end of the show.
I'm sorry for spoiling that, but now people can listen for it.
I stand corrected. Was it 4? Yeah, no, it was 5. Okay.
Got it.
Anyway, yeah. So trailer, Rashawn, you said originally you didn't care for it either, though.
Hated everything. But now now in the new lens, in the lens that we have now, that's great. That's a great trailer.
It's perfect.
It's so good.
It's
I
perfect.
think I was just I think it was just the saltiness of, you guys are doing this, and you have all these other properties, and you do this, and who are these guys? Again, I knew pretty much mostly everything that they had done before from comics and comic references, but this was the one thing. Again, this is D F tier level Marvel, so it was like, I don't know, but in the lens that we have now, that was great.
I had almost as fun watching that trailer as I did watching the movie. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, like how about like even the Uga Shaka remix there? Like how they work it into it's so good. It's so good. All of it. They showed off so many characters too there.
Yeah.
Like,
The only thing that I do remember liking about the trailer, and every trailer that they showed, was when the one character is like, what a bunch of a-holes. Because I'm like, yeah, what is this movie? I don't want to see it.
It was so self-aware.
I was gonna say,
just so wonderfully written. James Gunn, man, he's just so good. Del, you loved the trailer when you first saw it. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ended up like getting pulled in to go see the movie, but until my friend said you have to see it. But yeah, I mean, it's great, and I wasn't a big. I never watched through Parks and Rec until a few years back, so like I didn't really give a rip about Andy Dwyer being in this movie, and then having watched through that whole series twice now, just for me that was a disconnect. But yeah, still it's fun and it's engaging.
Yeah, to that point, like this, it's cool to like look back and think like this is the movie that launched Chris Pratt's that part of Chris Pratt's career. Like this was not a role for him. Like it was very, very interesting. Like the casting was all right. This is a funny role. Okay, like we'll give him a shot. But is he a star? Like can he carry a movie? And is he going to get in shape? Does he have to get in shape? It was all like to see his career, like to see where his career has gone so far in these Jurassic World movies and like just all the stuff he stars in. Like this is what started his Hollywood career for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt. And make no mistake, I am, they show him getting, showered or whatever in the jail there in that trailer just to show his abs.
I know.
And they do that. They worked that in on purpose.
Of course,
I'm
they
sure
did.
because like everybody knows him as like this fat slob.
Yeah.
From Parks and Rec.
And
it was kind of funny too. How they had to not to say it was kind of funny too how in the show they had to explain it away because of Johnny Karate and that's why he was in shape now. But through that, he's like watching through. My daughter's watching through Parks and Rec now, and I'm watching these early seasons. It's like, oh, he's so like disgusting, Yeah. And so I just think it's great. Like, what is like this is Chris Pratt as you've never seen him before. They kind of do a really good job of teasing that in the trailer.
It's a fun fact
he has turned into one of my favorite actors just in general. I don't know if he's on many people's lists, but he is truly up there for me. And I've not watched all of Parks and Rec even to this day. Like I've watched a fair amount of it, but man, he just and I again in my notes, 2014 was so big for him. You had this, and then in February of that year, you had the Lego Movie, which was really, really big in terms of animated movies. Like that did so well. Like people who traditionally don't go and see movies saw that movie and were hooked. So like he had a really big year, and then 2015 Jurassic World happens. Like it was just a skyrocket after that.
Yeah, he elevated himself to a point where he could sell tickets. He wasn't selling movie tickets but before this movie. He definitely grabbed that by the throat with this movie. And I know we were probably going to get into it, but I'll start this part off. Like the cast that they got for this movie, not even considering that it's again D-level Marvel stuff, and they could have probably laughed these roles off, but like in the MCU wasn't what it was, so where everyone wants an MCU role now. But like you look at Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Batista, even though from an acting standpoint he's not
still big
even
name though.
Still to this day not a megastar, but just again a name.
Yeah.
Talents of Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper. You got Michael Rooker in there. You got John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, Benicio del Toro. It keeps going. And that's crazy that they got that much talent for a property that had no identity outside of really sweaty nerds in their basement. And even some of the sweaty nerds in their basement didn't even know what this property was.
Mhm.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. It speaks to that budget.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to see that list, and even like these very, very small cameos that you see throughout. Let alone that main star-studded cast with your 5 Guardians. It's truly remarkable. Like, we always think about the Avengers and where their careers have gone respectively, but man, these guys kind of like came together. And a lot of them were really well known already. So it's really nice to see that this experiment, if you will, worked.
Yeah,
I
was gonna say, Bradley Cooper was on the record of saying that he made more money in this role, just voicing Rocket, than he did in Silver Linings Playbook and The Hangover Part 1 combined. So they really were out there to get this cast, man. Like, we saw it in the budget. They spent the money. Like, they knew this had to work. We all talked about it before. Like, this is a weird idea. This is very different, and if this doesn't work, it could be a misstep. Again, maybe it wouldn't have been detrimental to the MCU, but the fact that this did work was such an awesome thing for them. Like, they branched out into such a different path than we were used to. We're used to very earthbound, like very grounded stories, and guess what? Now we're in space for 2 hours. So the fact that it worked is just a testament to that vision they have over there, and I love this movie.
Bringing those people in was bringing those actors in was pretty great. I mean, you could almost say that there was like an idea, to bring together a group of remarkable actors.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, but seriously though, this was such a pivotal movie for the MCU. This when Josiah mentioned it a few moments ago, how off air I mentioned how this was the gateway movie, and this was opening up, the cosmos to the Marvel universe. I mean, you had, Avengers with, the Chitauri and everything, but really though, this movie was like the entire thing was set in cosmic.
Literally took us into space.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah, exactly. And so it's almost like when Rocket is asking people in Endgame, okay, who's never been to space before? Like, the audience they don't have to raise their hand because they've been to space, right? So
that's great.
So it was such a huge pivot for the MCU, and it had to work because now that they had been setting up Thanos and everything, and they were gonna go cosmic. So whatever way they chose to really dive into it, it had to work. And just thinking about it now, bringing in all those names, spending all that money, in a lot of ways, I think it was really genius for them to bring it all in through a little known IP. Because they're able now to set the stage however they want without preconceived notions from everybody who knows all the other properties, all the A and B list stuff. So by bringing it in kind of subtly through this lesser known property, they're able to basically come up with the rules.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because
we see kind of the opposite with that right now with the Square Enix Marvel's Avengers game. That game's coming out, and they've got a bunch of A-list voice actors acting in that game, and people are like, well, this is different from the MCU, so I don't really get the vibe. I'm not really sure if I'm sold on these characters because I'm so used to RDJ as Iron Man and Chris Evans as Cap and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a great point. I mean, they took these characters that nobody had any kind of notion for. There was no groundwork. Like, they let these awesome actors just make it their own, and man, it paid off tenfold.
That's an uphill battle that video game is going to have to fight here.
Yeah.
And it's taken time. I think it's gotten better since that cast was announced. But like, those voice actors and actresses are like the creme de la creme when it comes to video games. They are the top of the top list actors that you can get. And the reception still was like, but like that Spaceballs meme that was going around was perfect. These are not them. Like, that's hysterical. And I think we'll have to reserve judgment once that gets here. But let's what do we get into some of our notes here? I'll kind of kick us off. Nothing too crazy here. We've covered some of it already. But early on in the movie, like I can't believe how much of this movie actually foreshadows what happens in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I wasn't even thinking that it was a thing. I was like, this is a one and done kind of movie. You know, we're here and now, and it is what it is. It's fun. Let's enjoy it. But really, like looking back in hindsight, there's so much that happens. Even like little things like on her deathbed, Meredith Quill is saying, "You're so like your daddy." Like we didn't know anything about that, or at least I didn't. Not being a comic book guy, I had no idea where this was going to go. Just I like little nods like that. This was so I mentioned that I've seen this movie probably 30-35 times easily, no joke. What I did not notice, this is one thing that is a first time for me. Maybe you guys know this already, but anyway, there's a T-shirt that little Peter Quill is wearing that has a River Rafter logo on it. When we fast forward about 10 minutes into the movie, when Peter Quill is flying away and that girl like comes out and he forgot that she was in there. She's wearing that exact T-shirt.
I definitely did not catch that.
Pretty funny to me.
That's awesome.
I don't know why that stood out, but I was like, wait a second. And I rewound it real quick and I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's like his little kid T-shirt.
This movie has its own Easter eggs.
Yeah,
it does. Like, it's amazing. There's so many phrases that have become commonplace in my household because of this movie that I don't even like. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, oh, that's where I got that from. Like, Lauren and I will both say these things all the time in jest. When Michael Rooker says, "That's what I said," anytime one of us doesn't hear each other, we'll be like, "That's what I said," Lauren and I. Anytime anyone ever has to say "who," like immediately you jump back to that. And then the other thing, this is kind of random, but we'll yell it from time to time. Captain's got to teach stuff. Later on in the movie, when Craiglin says that, anytime one of us has to yell, like it'll be like a random, "Hey, what are you doing?" Captain's got to teach stuff. I don't know. These are these stupid like things, these inside jokes that all stem from this that we didn't realize it becomes such a part of our lingo and vocabulary. Man, what's really disappointing is Sean Gunn was coming to Nickel City Con this year, and I was going to host that panel.
Yeah,
I'm so upset about that. I wanted to sit down with him so bad for an hour. Hopefully, that is back next year when things are a little bit back to normal.
Yeah, 2020 sucks.
It's been tough, no doubt. How the Guardians meet is really fantastic. So how the first four of them come together when they're all chasing after each other and trying to mow each other down to get that orb, I think it's just really nice. Like,
it's brilliant.
It's quick. It's brilliant. It's like a crescendo, man. It just works. All of them coming together.
We sometimes compare this to Avengers. Like, was Avengers the gateway, or was this the gateway? But Avengers took 5 movies to be able to tell the backstories of all those characters to make them work in one film together, right? Like, Avengers wouldn't have worked if we had to get all of that backstory in one film. This movie did it. It took 5 characters that we didn't know, gave us awesome little backstories, gave us a really, really cool scene where they all came together, and like it was just so perfectly done. Every little thing, we learned about all their different talents, their different abilities. Like when they're fighting Star-Lord, we learned about all of Star-Lord's tricks off his sleeve. We saw him right then and there, so we have the ground set for his character. Same with Gamora, she's awesome in hand-to-hand combat. Groot's a tree, he does tree things. Like it's all there. So good, man.
Drinks out of water fountains.
Yep. Yeah, we get his personality, lack thereof.
It occurred to Lauren and I that basically Daisy is Groot, like just doing things she shouldn't, like he's drinking out of that water fountain, and Rocket's just yelling at him.
Yep.
What are you doing, man? Learn genders. It's so good.
I saw you doing it. Why are you lying?
And then in the second movie, spit it out.
Oh man, yeah, John. To your point, I think this is like the best and most efficient way without sacrificing quality to have an origin story. Like they're one unit, but we really found out a lot of about their backgrounds and their histories and all that.
It's 5 origin stories, and it somehow works.
It's remarkable. Can you believe that? All these years later, looking back at it, they were tossing around that Infinity Stone just like that.
Yeah.
Just like it was a toy. They didn't know what was there. They were going for the shiny object. It's fun to look back at now and be like, oh my gosh,
you idiots.
That was just
careful.
Yeah. Del, did you post something on Twitter about which is the best Groot? Did I imagine this?
Did.
Or did you? Okay, you did.
I did, yeah.
Before you reveal is that poll over with?
It is.
Okay, hang on to the results for a second. I want to hear from you guys. So we're jumping ahead here, but between original Groot, which we see here, Baby Groot, and then Teen Groot as we get to Avengers, which one's the best? Which one's your favorite? Whoever has an answer, go first.
It's Baby Groot, and it's not even close. I'm sorry, I'm going first. Baby Groot is the best by far. He's like, he has the most character. I think he has the most fun scenes. Just the opening in Guardians 2 alone, I just think is like, I think that's the best Groot scene. Opening scene of Guardians 2. So, yeah, I love Baby Groot.
Rashad,
I knew he was gonna say, because I mean, look, he's got a little Baby Groot.
I have like 9 Baby Groots in this room, and that's not an exaggeration. There's one in my head. I count that one too.
So this was actually in my notes, so I get to talk about it now. I like regular Groot. I like Big Groot. I like him because I think that especially looking towards Infinity War and Endgame, I think he would have been the most useful out of the Groots. But also, I don't know, that's the Groot that the bit of media that I did go back and watch for Guardians, whether it's watch, play, video games, or again in comics or whatnot. That's the Groot that we get most accustomed to. But yeah, Baby Groot. I mean, Baby Groot's right there too. I mean, I'm not gonna crap on Baby Groot.
Yeah, same here. I love Groot as well. It's still awesome.
I think the one that I know I don't like is Teen Groot.
Oh my God, I love Teen Groot.
We're gonna talk about. Okay, I do like him, but he's not he's not the other two Groots. He's a little prick, but he's a teenager. So
he is, but you know what? I'm a prick too.
Yeah.
Takes one to know one.
I said I was.
I thought
when you were
when I was that
Jury's still out. I've heard it both ways.
Oh, that's not what I heard.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, right. Yeah. So Stormbreaker doesn't exist without Teen Groot, for what it's worth. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, hot take. I would go Baby Groot, Teen Groot, regular Groot.
I think you could make an argument for any of them.
Sure.
You know, Rashawn sees this original Groot and says, "I want you back." But I'm looking at it. I'm saying Baby Groot.
I thought the goal was when we were gonna get Baby Groot in Guardians 2, we were gonna get Teen Groot in Infinity War. I don't know how it would have worked, but based on the way the story played out, I thought we were gonna get the normal Groot back in Endgame, but obviously that wasn't possible because he, that just wasn't.
He disappeared.
Possible. Also, that's a different Groot. The original Groot died. This is a new Groot. This is not the same person.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up just in case people weren't aware. James Gunn did confirm that we have original Groot, and that Groot sacrificed himself.
And that broke people's heart
one with
too, because I think a lot of the reactions were like, "Oh my God, we got Groot back. That's awesome." And he was like, "No, he died. Like he's dead. You did not get him back. This is a new character. He's cool too, but no, Groot's dead."
There was some interview he did a while ago that said something like or again, this was like 2015, 2016, but something about how he'd love to see again a full-size Groot fight the Incredible Hulk or something like that. That's what I was thinking. Oh, we're gonna get that in Infinity War somehow, and then no.
Well, Groot is originally one of Hulk's enemies.
I didn't know that.
That's where he comes from.
I think that's where he's from.
Yeah, he's originally one of a Hulk enemy, and he spoke sentences.
Oh, okay.
So not just I am and Groot.
Yeah, that's a full
in
sentence.
that order.
So Del, what's your answer? And then what did your Twitter poll say?
Okay, so with 523 votes, we have 50% Baby Groot, 25% adult Groot, and 25% teen Groot.
That's what I would have guessed that.
Perfect.
I can understand that.
But I'm surprised because I really thought, for the most part, Teen Groot sucks, because he's a teenager. No offense to most teenagers, any teenager listening, but most teenagers kind of suck. You know what I mean? He's such a jerk. Even he goes, "I am Groot," and the whole goes, "Whoa!"
The acorn's on you.
I mean, all that character does is play defender, mouth off, and create Stormbreaker. Great. So you're trying to tell me that creating Stormbreaker outweighs giving your life and helping the Guardians, basically win the battle as they're on the Dark Aster at the end of the movie, all that stuff that I really thought Teen Groot was gonna pull way behind Adult Groot. I knew Baby Groot was gonna win,
Run away with it.
I was really surprised that they split down the middle. So that was kind of
I'm happy. I love that result. I think that's exactly what I would think.
I respect that too.
Yeah,
The Guardians they lost some muscle, man. You go to that prison scene, and they were able to make a statement because of full grown Groot. You don't mess with us.
Oh yeah,
we're coming in here. We go through you.
Yep.
You don't go through us. We go through you. They lost some muscle there.
That's a good.
I appreciate that you guys are saying all these lines.
For sure.
This is great.
That's a good segue
for. He takes his fingers, he puts them right up his nose. Oh.
Do you know who that was? That's an Easter egg right there. That was Nathan Fillion. Yeah. That's super cool.
Oh, it's awesome, man. I'm so happy that we're taking the time to gush about this movie because I'm probably gonna watch it again after this.
Do we think we get full grown Groot back by the time Guardians 3 rolls around?
Eventually,
or do we stick with teenage Groot?
They'd have to, right? They'd have to.
I would hope so.
And I hope
timing from.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how they make him different too, because with James Gunn saying it's a different Groot, like I'm very interested to see like how full-grown Groot looks different and acts different than the original one. So it's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah, maybe this is like full-grown Groot, but by his very existence, he is different from that original one.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see where he takes it. It's gonna be worth the wait, hopefully.
For sure.
In 2022 at earliest.
So we are. Wait, what are we? 45 minutes in this movie, we've not said one negative thing. We are gushing about this movie, and it's amazing. Like we are.
I don't know that I'm going to either.
I've got one thing. I mean, like I can talk a little bit about Ronan and how he's just a very okay villain, but like other than that, like I'm just buzzing about this movie. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, go ahead, Josiah.
No, you're good. I have some thoughts on Ronan. I'm going to save it for later, though.
Yeah, well, I was going to speak to Ronan and just say like he is. If there's one negative about this movie is that he's the straight man for everything, for every joke, and he's so serious,
so one-dimensional.
And I'm sure that I'm sure James Gunn did that on purpose. Like on one end of the spectrum, you have all this goofiness and craziness and everything going on, and even like a family coming together. And then you have Ronan, who is lone by himself and not fun and not amusing and kind of stale. Maybe that was intentional. I
think so. I think he sucks, and we recognize that, but it works so well because he's backed up by so many other awesome factors. Like we get to see Gamora and her turn on him, and Nebula we're introduced to, and we get to see that he's just a puppet for Thanos. So like, yeah, he sucks, but like he's still held up by awesome stuff. So it's barely a negative.
I like we haven't talked about it yet, but I remember sitting in the theater, and with the friend that I went with, we used to always after every movie, it was awesome. Every movie, not just this one, the question we used to ask each other is, because at that point, this is going back to when it was Joss Whedon and it was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. Again, it's arguable, it's still that, but it just in name, that's what those movies were. And we used to always ask each other, oh, how is this going to connect to that? And we used to always ask each other that, little nerds. And the thing that I guess that wasn't, to my knowledge, at least any of the pre-trailers, maybe some TV spots, because sometimes TV spots will spoil some stuff for you, but after the movie drops. But prior to the movie, I did not know that Thanos was going to be in this in any capacity. So when he popped up on screen, that was awesome. Just really seeing him, besides again in a little snippet in a post-credit scene, but actually full sentences, full dialogue. Yeah, not really doing anything, but putting Ronan in his place, and you're seeing just him in the flesh, and just getting literally a taste of what was to come. So that was awesome to see. But speaking of Ronan, I love how he put Ronan in his place and called him boy. Like he was Kratos or something.
That was Josh Brolin's first appearance as Thanos. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
I think it was perfect. A perfect way to introduce him, especially knowing what was coming down the line here. Yeah. And they really didn't give that away ahead of time. Which
I love that they got rid of that little prick of an alien too, his little subordinate or whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the one good thing Ronan did, and that's the best thing he did the entire movie is getting rid of that little guy. Watch your tone, and then he
I always compare him to the mouth of Sauron from Return of the King.
Yes.
Very similar character. Like they gotta go.
Rid of him. Oh my god, that little dude.
On last
end was coming.
We on Geeks Got Game, I had mentioned to the boys. So there's this company called Glass to Mouth. They make custom beer glasses. John's got a glass right there. If you're watching at home, very, very nice. Let's. Oh man, it's beautiful. Anyway, what I wrote them because I've got 3 or 4 glasses now. John's got a handful. They do them for a limited period of time, and then they're gone. Almost in a way like 26 shirts, but they don't have a charity aspect yet. Anyway, I wrote them and said they should do a beer glass of Baby Groot meeting Baby Yoda because it just sounds too perfect. So yeah, hopefully that happens.
My daughter just poked her head in here. I should pull her in and make her talk about Guardians. She loves that movie.
Does Animal Crossing related or no?
No, it's not Animal Crossing related. Big Guardians fan over here.
Awesome.
Yes. Love it. So when Quill, they're in the prison for the first time, the big blue guy listening to the Walkman, and he's talking Blue Sweet, that song belongs to me. Do you guys know who that is? Like playing the actor there?
I do not.
I don't think so.
So his name is Spencer Wilding. He plays Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Oh.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yes. Big dude, right? Like you see that. I always love that kind of. So like in the lead up to Rogue One, we were doing a new segment every week, and that was one of the things that popped up. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Darth Vader's going to be in Rogue One. It's this crazy thing. He's mowing down troops," and we're like, "Oh my gosh, is it going to be Hayden Christensen? Like, what's going to happen here?" And then it was like, "Oh no, there's this guy from Guardians of the Galaxy," and then they pointed him out, and he's got the headset on. I'm like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" Tying some of my favorite franchises together. We talked about some of the cameos there.
Jesus, before you go, yeah, he's 6'7". Jeez.
Yeah, big dude.
I'm on IMDb right now. Just pull up his thing.
I think so. David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the original trilogy, I think he was the same height, if I'm not mistaken. Which is,
yeah. I was wondering why that Vader was so intimidating. I mean, Vader normally is, but jeez.
Because in his helmet, as he's mowing everyone down, he's listening to "Hooked on a Feeling."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we should put that as a mashup.
That's a good. That'd be a good edit.
The scene.
It would be a good edit.
So for Groot, I think this is kind of well known, but worth mentioning. Only James Gunn and Vin Diesel had special scripts depicting what Groot is really trying to say. So he's saying "I am Groot" throughout most of the movie, except for "We are Groot" at the end. But to really figure out how to enunciate and capture the emotion, those were the only 2 that had the script, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was fully written dialogue. There was like a full
We talked
script.
about the Avengers coming together and the Guardians coming together. The first time they come together kind of as the Guardians in the prison, so on the kiln, right before that barrage of fire hits them, and Rocket is doing what he's got to do, and Quill's got that guy's leg. When they come together and there's that shot, the first time you hear the Guardians score, it's the Guardians theme song plays, and it is maybe as epic, maybe not quite, but almost as epic as the Avengers theme to me. When you hear
it's
right, I think that it's in the conversation that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
But when the first time it plays in Guardians Volume 2, it's like I get goosebumps just thinking about it. But that became epic pretty quickly. Yondu at the shop for the broker, when he's looking at the figurines, that is supposed to be Mickey Mouse, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, yeah.
So a few years after Disney had taken over the Marvel and Star Wars there.
That's cool.
And then just a quick shout out here. We talk about Groot a lot, but in Western New York, there's a wonderful, wonderful cosplayer. His name's Bobby Whalen. He's become a friend of the Geekiverse. If you've been to Nickel City Con or any sort of pop culture geeky themed event and you see cosplayers, he has an amazing, amazing Groot cosplay. He we'll have to put some clips and pictures on our social media. But when Groot sees that little girl on the one planet and gives her the flower out of his hand, like Bobby's Groot does that. Like he will see a little kid and he has like a flower pop up if like he sees a little girl.
That's
it's
amazing.
Truly authentic.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, so big shout out to Bobby for putting that together. We talked a little bit, John, specifically about how good this movie looks. I put that it's the best usage of colors in the MCU. It's wide ranging, and yet there is a theme, and they stick to it, and it never looks out of place. Like I think you can make arguments for some of what we see in Doctor Strange, where some of it doesn't mesh. If we're being really critical with this, I never got that.
at the time, 2014. I mean, again, even probably still now, but at the time, it was. Yeah,
I think even still today, it's by far the best use of color. And I think the only one close is Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I think Ragnarok maybe is a close second, but I think I mean and it goes hand in hand with the score. Like the color assets and the score in this movie just fit so well. They just tell such a story with those two things. Like you can watch this movie without dialogue, and you get the vibe that they're going for. It's so well done.
And I love how you see like different aliens too. Like some were
God.
all blue, or some were all green, or some were all yellow, and like. It's simplistic, but it works really well.
Yeah, that goes back to my point. Like
it was simple.
It's just such a good sci-fi movie MCU removed. Like they really do such a good job of like creating these worlds and these different planets, and they make space feel amazing. And like, man, it's so like it's so inviting. Like you just feel like you're there. It's just like I can't find the words, but it's amazing.
It's what I love about it, and this goes for Ragnarok as well, but this movie came out, like 3 years before Ragnarok, but just the color, like you guys mentioned. And if you watch any DC movie ever, the two primary colors are black and very, very, very dark gray is Batman.
Yep.
From Lego. And like even a lot of space movies, there's not a lot of color, the darkness of space and everything, especially when they're out in space, right? But this when you think about nowhere and just everywhere they go in general, there's so much color, and it's such I hate to use the word again, but it's such a pivot from what we're used to seeing with space movies and most comic book movies, and that's what makes this movie and Ragnarok and Guardians 2 so different, is that they look like comic books.
From a visual standpoint, it's a lot more out of when you compare this to other sci-fi space movies or properties. It's more fantastical than from a visual standpoint, than those other films. Yeah.
It's truly remarkable, and you can tell that it works so well that when we got to 2017 and the string of movies that was coming, actually late 2016, I should say, with Doctor Strange, color became a theme, like just color in general. So Doctor Strange had all these crazy colors. You got to Guardians Volume 2 in the following summer in 2017. And then shortly, or maybe in the middle there, you had Spider-Man Homecoming, which was not as colorful as these, but it still made sense. It looked like a comic book movie. And then you had, Thor Ragnarok, which... Remember all the first trailer we saw for that, all the posters, the advertisements? It was like it was ripped out of Guardians, and you put Thor like right on that backdrop.
Yeah,
and they figured it out. They did an incredible job with it.
They were the first to like take music, color, and comedy and make it into this vibe that's kind of like its own genre now. We've seen so many films and even like video games try to replicate this like vibrant color, comedy, and music. Like look at Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was going right after Guardians of the Galaxy. It flopped, but that's what it was going for. It had your vibrant pinks and blues and Harley Quinn, and it had some of the music, and it was going to be comedy. Like Guardians was the stepping stone. It was the foundation for that kind of new genre of this.
It's a good parallel.
Yeah, it's so cool.
But now Suicide Squad is really going after Guardians with James Gunn doing the new movie.
I'm pumped for that, man.
We got James Gunn, we got Bautista in there, we have Sean Gunn, of course. There's a lot of really, really nice actors in that one. It's funny because I thought Suicide Squad 2016 was a sure bet.
Me too.
Like, seeing those trailers, I was like, this is Guardians for DC. It's got the music, it's got the fun soundtrack, it's got the vibes. Then the movie or the review started pouring in, and I was like, oh no!
Yeah, what happened?
And I even worked my magic with my one friend, because I think it was a situation where he wasn't down to see Suicide Squad, but I'm like, hey man, we haven't seen each other in a while. Let's go see this Suicide Squad movie. It's Guardians-esque, just DC. Like it's not in space. We might have a good time. And we walked out of there. We got some chuckles. But it was overall just like,
they gave you the formula. They gave it to you. What are you doing?
So it's so funny. I've never seen a movie rebooted so fast. It's funny. Like we don't know really what it is, but like they got James Gunn. Like Del said, like that is really just it's a smart move.
I'm in.
Yeah,
They're like, you know what? Well, you got Chris Pratt. We'll one up you. We'll get Will Smith,
which was a big deal.
And you had Zoe Saldana. You know what? We'll get Margot Robbie, and our movie's gonna be better.
Huge.
I like both.
A for effort.
Yeah, just execution.
Any movie that ends with fighting a big boss for me is just forget it. That's how that movie felt. Like at the end of the movie was a video game. Like, oh, we all gotta join up and beat the big boss.
Yeah,
So.
just shipping away damage.
That's a good way to put it.
Bad.
Baby Groot dancing at the end. That's James Gunn.
Potty
He
Groot,
did the motion capture for that. Yep. And then Sean Gunn, so his brother did the motion capture for Rocket for the majority of the movies, which I did not know until recently.
He's the stand-in, yeah. So I don't think it's mocap. I think he's just the stand-in for Rocket, like for all the live scenes. I don't think he actually mocaps it. I think he's just like there. So
I thought he did.
I guess I could be wrong,
I'll
but I thought he was just there as like a stand-in for Rocket, so the other actors had somebody to look at and to address. But I guess I could be wrong.
No, you're right. You're right. He's on set. Yep. When you're on set like that, it's just so they're not
I think
looking at
Rocket's
thin
fully
air.
CGI.
Yeah.
So last thought here for me. If you could pick one, what's everybody's favorite song from Awesome Mix Volume 1?
Oh my god!
Just a piece of garbage.
Come and get your love.
Okay.
Come and get your love.
Yeah, is it?
Oh, that's mine. I
Because
come and get your love.
It's
perfect.
It's so beautiful how they bring the title card right up on the perfect beat of the song and everything. You're like, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy, and it just punches you in the face, and it's like, this movie's different, and it's just so perfect. It's such a great job of bringing you into like, this is how this movie's going to be. It's just, he comes in all epic, and he's got his helmet and everything. And he does the thing on the side of his head, and he puts his Walkman on. And you're like, where's this going? And all of a sudden, you're like, all right, that space utility looks very Walkman-esque, and then the music hits, and you're like, oh. So and then you realize, as War Machine would say later, so he's an idiot.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was waiting to say that.
Yeah, I love watching that scene
that.
with Endgame in retrospect. That's really cool. I have a fun fact about that. So that opening was supposed to be Hooked on a Feeling. It was written to Hooked on a Feeling, and they tried it with Come and Get Your Love, and James Gunn was like, much better, like 100%. That's why I think that's why some of most of the marketing was Hooked on a Feeling, and that was kind of the promotional song for the film, because that was supposed to be the opening song.
I read that, and I guess this is a no-no, but I read that James Gunn actually wrote the songs into the script, which you're never supposed to do that, because you might not be able to get the rights to the song, and it just confuses everything. But it was so deliberate. Like, he deliberately chose these songs ahead of actually putting the movie together. Like, this is what I'm going to use to help promote this. And it makes sense because, real quick segue, since we're talking about music, but you're coming as a viewer, you're coming into this movie, you don't know who the Guardians are, you don't know who the characters are, you're not used to seeing a Marvel movie in space. The entire thing is unfamiliar, but the one thing they're able to bring you in on, in terms of the storytelling, is the music. And that's the one that's part of the reason I think that why we all fell in love with it so much, is because these were all songs that we knew, or at least had heard once or twice in our life, and it just helps connect the audience to form an emotional connection with the story, like so much faster than it normally would.
Yeah, and it makes sense what you said.
It's funny.
Like, go ahead.
I feel like at least half the songs, relatively common, I had heard, and half I was discovering because of this movie. Maybe that's just an age thing for me. I don't know, or maybe I'm just out of the loop with stuff. But like,
I got a couple laps on you guys, so
no, I don't really think that has anything to do with it. I think like my sister's 3 years younger than me. She probably knew every song on there. Like, she loves her James Gunn, probably like come up with all the same stuff. Like, that's kind of like their spirit animals in that sense. But like, for me, this was like, oh my gosh, I love these songs. And now I'm like, man, on one of our trips last year, we were listening to, I think, just like Leon Redbone on Amazon Music, just like his songs. And he did some of the songs in Elf and many other famous tracks, but I did not know a lot of his B-sides, and it was just nice to listen to it and be like, this is easy listening, this is beautiful. So it kind of opened my eyes to a lot with that. John, I'm sorry I kind of cut you off there. I don't know if you had something to say.
So yeah, Del mentioned that the movie was written with these songs in mind, and these scenes were kind of crafted around these songs. And man, you can really tell this is, I don't think I've ever seen a movie, especially and maybe specifically with licensed music, depend so much on the soundtrack. Like we know movies out there are very dependent on their scores, and that's usually original music. To see all licensed music and to see the movie just crafted around that, it's just like you don't think about it when you're watching it, but when you leave, all of those songs are somehow stuck in your head at the same time. It's so impressive. I don't think about Guardians and not think about the music. Like they're just one in one, man. It's super cool.
I remember after this movie came out, where I worked at the time. I want to say this movie came out. I know we didn't get the date. I want to say this movie came out in August of 2014. Somebody fact check that for me. But regardless, we played, I think, this soundtrack in our workplace from August when it came out to, I think, around where we were forced to play Christmas music. Like it was that long. Like it was just so
late September.
Depending on where you are. Yeah, I think for us it was like October, like Halloween time. But yeah, like depending on where you are, September.
You are.
But yeah,
let's say you're barely right. August 1st. You're just right. August 1st.
Okay, all right. August 1st. Wow. But yeah, we played the track for a while, and to answer Joe's question, for me, it's definitely Hooked on a Feeling for me. That. Again, for a time when building up to this movie, and again, I hated everything about the movie, leading up to it. But that song mixed with this movie. But now when I think of this song, I just think of Guardians. But those in combination, I just now have nostalgia for this movie when I hear that song. And that's the main source of like, man, I get that nostalgic feeling. You know, we all have nostalgia for some form of entertainment out there or multiple forms. When I think about Guardians, I can't not have that song playing in the background of my head. So that's definitely the one for me.
So not Cherry Bomb, just to be clear.
No.
Is that a dig?
So I think about. Yeah, I love that too, but no.
Were you just trying to get it in there?
Yeah, I had nothing else for that one. That's exactly what it was. But Hooked on a Feeling, yeah, you're right. That is so intertwined now, I think, with them and just associated with them, even to the point where like that when Telltale Games did their Guardians game, one of the episodes was literally called Hooked on a Feeling.
Yes, I was. Yes, I played that.
It was fun times. John, did you pick a song?
Yeah, for me it's Ooh Child. I think Hooked on a Feeling and Ooh Child are very, very close. But for me, like the one that I'm humming when I'm just making dinner and stuff like that is Ooh Child, and I'm always singing it off key like him. Like that's just the way. Like I'm singing it in that scene. You know, and like that's what I'm not thinking of the song. I'm thinking about Star-Lord singing it right towards Ronan. That's
always with the finger.
Always so good. Yeah, Ooh Child is, man, so good.
So we mentioned our favorite songs. What about? So we typically go into favorite non-title character.
Before you go, are you about? I think I'm reading your brain because I was gonna bring this up pre-show, but maybe you're bringing it up now. Instead of our favorite non-main character, are you gonna say? Are we gonna talk about our favorite Guardian of the Galaxy? Is that what you're gonna say?
Ooh.
I couldn't escape you on that one, Rashawn.
I'm having up. I'm like, how is he gonna fit that one in here? And he did it.
I couldn't escape the Pina Colada song there. So I was just gonna say favorite character in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Guardian, even though I think we probably would pick them. But from this movie specifically, not as a franchise, but this one. Like, who's your one? Who's your guy or girl? John.
I want to go first because it's Rocket. I just love Rocket so much, and I can't believe we've gone so long without like quoting him that much or talking about Rocket specifically in Bradley Cooper's performance. Like he stole the show, and every time I watch this movie, he steals the show. Like it's just he has so many funny lines, and they're not even the most quotable lines. They're just like the ones that are just like the side one-off moments that just make you laugh, like when you're in a super serious moment and he's like, you guys are making me beat up grass, like that kind of stuff, man. Like he's so funny, I think. And that was, I mentioned it kind of earlier on, like that was the one thing I'm like, we got a talking raccoon, like what do you mean? I don't think I'm in for this, whatever. I kind of just brush it aside, and like Rocket's one of my favorite characters in the MCU, like hands down now, and it's this movie. I think he steals the show more than anybody in the film.
I mentioned quotes that we say in our household. One that I failed to mention was when the very first time we see Rocket and he's making these comments about everybody, when he sees the little kid, like just priceless. It's not cool to get help. It's so good. Oh, good choice. Good choice. Rashad, since you had that I can't even work in a song here. You go next.
It's tough, man. I mean, I think for me, I got to go off of, especially when we talk about the actors where their careers, a lot of careers went in a lot of different ways here. But for me, I think it's got to be Star-Lord. Because Chris Pratt at this point, since this movie has become, again, I don't have a number scale of my favorite actors, but definitely in like maybe top 10, I would say. Because I never saw an episode of Parks and Rec. Whether it's my dad or other people were like, oh, you should watch it for him. I'm like, I just never got around to it. But between his performance and just the way his character was written for me, I would say that definitely has to be the main thing that keeps me interested in this property going forward. Obviously, again, James Gunn and the writing and everything else, and like John said, everything with Rocket, anything with Rocket is amazing. But definitely, Star-Lord as the captain of the ship, if you will, keeps me going for sure.
It's a good one. I think I could put every relatively prominent character on a poster, close my eyes, throw a dart, and whoever it hit, I would be like, yeah, cool, I'm into it. That's good. So that's a good choice. Del, who do you have?
Yeah, I know. I want to be different and come up with some different angle, but it's Rocket. I mean, he steals the show. He steals the show. Just everything, and he just brings like either the levity or the gravity to every scene that he's in. Whether it's him being drunk and I didn't ask to be this way, and holy crap, this movie made me feel bad for a raccoon who didn't. You know what I mean? Like just like a CG raccoon who was like dealing with why he exists and all that existential stuff. Whether it's that end of things or it's just like they have this big moment. He's like, "There, are you happy? Bunch of jackasses standing." I mean, he's a great character, and he only gets better as the MCU goes on. He's so great that he survived the snap. So I mean, like that's just that they wanted to keep him in Endgame because he had more to bring. And
he's the one Guardian that survived the snap.
Yep, he's special.
Can you believe it? Like that. All those years later, he is so prominent in an Avengers movie, like bringing emotion, not just humor, to the table. It's truly remarkable what they've done with the
yeah, we haven't really talked about it, but like Bradley Cooper's performance, like I never hear Bradley Cooper in Rocket. Like I've seen plenty of movies, like I can never picture it. And I know it's him. I always know it's him. But when I anytime I watch something and there's a voiceover, whether it's a cartoon or something CG, you can always hear the voice actor. Like that's not like what an incredible job just transforming himself. I never hear Bradley Cooper in Rocket.
That's the brilliance of Bradley Cooper for sure.
And I would have never thought he had those kind of chops, man. Like he came from The Hangover and he did Silver Lining. He was kind of like a rom-com kind of guy. Like man, like he crushes this.
Mm-hmm.
It is a defining role in my eyes for him, even though maybe like kind of more mainstream audiences wouldn't see that. Like I feel like a lot of times I could be like, oh, that's the voice of so and so, and I did not know that was him until after the movie was over.
I can even hear Vin Diesel in some of Groot's grunts. Like I can literally, oh, that's Vin Diesel. Like I can when he's swinging his arms around and grunting, like, yep, that's a Vin Diesel grunt. Like he can't hide that, but Bradley Cooper can turn into a raccoon, man. Like that's wild.
Yeah. I can't wait to get into Guardians 2 because James Gunn has done such a great job with character development. That's why we love these movies so much, is because the character development is so terrific. Because I'm gonna have a different answer when we get into that movie. Who my favorite character?
Oh, me too. Yeah.
He's such a great storyteller. And anyways, Josiah.
Yeah. I could, like I said, list any of them. Truly love Groot in this movie. Drax, like I feel like we haven't talked enough about his character. Gamora is wonderful, of course, too. Drax, just with how literal his people are, and again, like this big oaf, right? But like as time goes on, he starts to show emotion as they become a family, and it's like it's really, really special in a way that Rocket did. I'd say Star-Lord, though, if I really truly had to pick one. He's my guy in this movie. He is the glue that holds everything together, in my opinion. Another really, this could be a character that I might feature more prominently, as he did feature more prominently in the sequel. But I'd really love Yondu also. Just Michael Rooker kills it, man.
Michael Rooker,
he's so
I love
funny.
Michael Rooker, dude. He's awesome.
Another guy that was coming to Nickel City this year. Hopefully next year. So yeah, can't go wrong with any of those.
One thing that I loved
Any
about looking into this movie, like way back, is James Gunn's use of Batista in this movie as Drax. Because at that time, that was very. I think this was actually when Batista really wanted to go full time acting as much as possible. I think this was the first true blockbuster he did. Anything else was smaller. And if we're just being honest, and they knew it at the time, and Batista was even humble and knew it too. Like he wasn't the best actor. It was just that simple. You know, he came from WWE, a wrestling background. It was a different type of acting, but like on set, like movie, like Hollywood acting is a completely different ball game. And he didn't have a lot of those chops, but they wrote Drax in a way to where it fit Batista's strengths. Like sometimes directors and writers will play to an actor's, depending on the movie, their weaknesses and their strengths, but they solely relied on his strengths to where you don't see any of his weaknesses really, unless you look at some of the other movies he's done, whether it be recent or older. But they wrote it to where it solely played off of Batista's strengths and none of his weaknesses, and you see what that looks like, and it's perfectly crafted to where he doesn't say too much or do too much in any of these movies. He does just enough.
Yeah, and he doesn't stand out as a bad actor. Like it's very well crafted, like you said. Yeah,
exactly. And they could, and in hands of another director and or writer, they could have maybe tried. Oh, it's Batista. We got it, dude. Like, come on, we got to have him doing all this kind of screen time, right? And they could have showed those flaws. But that was brilliant directing and writing from the crew that worked on this film. And I forget how old that video or article was. I think it was more so of an article that I read. But that was just something masterful that they've done. And even at the Russo brothers, that they took that from James Gunn and worked that into the Avengers movies as well, that they continue to do with the Guardians property, which is awesome.
Yeah, that ensemble is the best. Even I would say when you get to it may be better than the Avengers with how well they just mesh. They're one unit, even though they've all got their individual strengths. That moment, quote unquote, that moment in the movie, I think there's an obvious one, but there's a lot too to choose from. If you could pick one moment, maybe one line, it's hard, right? But pick a moment or a scene or a quote. Del, why don't we go to you first for this one?
Unless it's really tough. Come back to me. I gotta think about it. I gotta think about it for a second.
Yeah. For me, it's the prison scene, man. Like that. Like we got the intro to these characters when they're fighting over the orb on what's the planet called? Starts with a Z, right?
Xandar.
Xandar.
Xandar, right? Yeah, it's Xandar. When they're fighting for it there, we got a feeling for all the characters. We got our good intros and stuff like that, but it's the prison scene that you really get to kind of learn all of them, and like you get Gamora's background, you find out more about her, and when they're formulating that plan, and Groot just goes to the wall and rips the battery out, and Rocket's like, "Well, we can just start right now." In the leg scene, are you kidding me with the guy's leg? I need that guy's leg, and it all pays off, and he's like, "No, you really got it. I thought it would be funny. Like, was he hopping around? Like." It just like there's so much. It's so good. You learn so much about these characters, all their strengths. I think it's just like I think it's perfectly crafted. I love the prison scene more than anything in this film. Almost, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with what he said.
+1
the prison scene. You know, it's +1 exactly.
Perfect.
Vote that up.
I do love when Rocket gets the gun and there's that moment of silence and he goes, "Oh, yeah," and then him and Groot just both scream at the top of their lungs. That's so funny. Rashawn, why don't we go to you first?
For me, yeah, that's definitely up there too. There's so many. I guess if I gotta do one, I would go for the battle on Xandar. When they're making the push to get Ronan or to stop Ronan, mainly the space. It's not space because it's on a planet, but the ship battle that they had.
Yeah, the dogfight.
I'm surprised none of you. Yeah, the dogfight. Yeah, I'm surprised not. Let's see, Joe. None of you guys made the parallels to Star Wars. Yeah, you guys were talking about
it's directly inspired. I mean, like those cockpit shots, like it's directly inspired by Star Wars.
Yeah, the movements, the way, just everything. That scene for me, and that really shows from a from a dogfighting standpoint and an action standpoint, that's incredible. But again, we talked about it before, the visuals on that scene and just, again, seeing them hover and fly all over that beautiful planet. That for me, I would say is that scene. The only other thing that I would say, it's just a quick one, is the scene with Thanos. I mentioned it briefly. That's why I'm just saying it again. But when he calls Ronan boy and he puts him in his place and he says he'll bathe the starways in his blood, like that. Oh man, it's awesome. That's a smaller one.
I will say
the bigger one for me.
The worst line in that movie is also in that scene when Nebula goes, "Thanks, Dad," and it's like the worst delivery in the entire. It's like that stands out to me every time. I'm like, I get it. That's your character. Like, you're very angsty, but like that's real bad. That's the only standout. Like, oh no.
Yeah, she does.
I think it kind of served to like to establish that tie a little more.
It
like,
did, yeah.
For better or worse, to be like, yes, I am Thanos' daughter, really, and it's confusing at first because we're working with Ronan, and
it's the delivery though.
At least that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's not the dialogue; it's the delivery. It's the very like super angsty. Thanks, Dad. Like very raspy. It's like. It's a miss for me, and again, that's her character. Dad. It's not good, but like that's her. She does that's the way she talks. But like she's like a 10 throughout the movie. She dialed that to like a 12.
Yeah, I, real quick on Nebula. My impression for that has always been like only in this movie, like the actress or her name escapes me, Karen
Gillan,
something or other.
Yeah.
Gillan. So she overacts like in every scene, like. In my opinion, like she's too angry. She's too like in every scene that she's in. So that always kind of bothered me. Like even that, like you just mentioned that line that really reminded me. Like it's not bad acting, but it's just for me. It's just like okay, we get it. You're full of rage.
Yeah, it's probably the direction she was given. Like she's probably doing the great because she's a great actress. I've seen her in other stuff, and I really like her. It's probably what they were going for, but it doesn't always hit. Like sometimes, like, you're right. It's just a little too much.
Yeah, whether it's James Gunn or her or whatever, but just for me, it's just like, okay, I get it. You're pissed. Okay, all the time, sure, but I don't know.
I do feel like that was a direction choice. I feel like they didn't. Again, for better or worse, maybe they didn't understand that what they wanted that character to be, and it was tough with developing so many other ones. She gets a nice development in 2, I think.
Yeah, and I think her being so over the top. Yeah, and I think her being so over the top in this one really kind of like paves the way for that development. I think you wouldn't really have as much of that payoff if she wasn't so like one-dimensional in this film.
Even as we get to like Endgame, like I always love when these characters are so out of place. Like I mentioned how Thor, like coming to Earth for the first time, even in the coffee shop, smashes the glass down. Things like that are their norms, are not norms on Earth or whatever planet they're on. And I feel like she's a really nice example of that. Even like playing with Tony Stark, like at the beginning of Endgame,
football game.
Super competitive, and he's Tony Stark, right? He's kind of just having fun.
Just chilling, yeah.
Even though they're floating in space.
The best thing that they do with her in those in the Guardians movies is when she wants to take eat that root so badly, so you can't eat it. It's not ripe. It's not ripe. She finally gets it, takes a bite, spits it out.
It's
not ripe. It's just like it's. Yeah. That's great delivery on her part. That's great delivery on her part.
Agreed.
So. Maybe we didn't get that if we didn't get this awkward version in this movie, right?
Yeah,
like she's
maybe
a little like Ronan, where she's dead serious.
Yeah.
Like she is on a mission. She's angry. She's doing this. She's doing that. And then you've got the contrast on the other side. And I think maybe Del, you made a good point earlier where you had the family of the Guardians and then you had Ronan, who is the contrast to them because he's by himself and alone and angry. Maybe that's a little bit Nebula here to show the contrast with Gamora. Like she's finding a family and that she can be accepted, and we didn't have that with Nebula. So I don't know. Interesting stuff all around, I think.
I do want to talk about Ronan a little bit though, because we said we'd get back to it. He's I think it's clear he's kind of a one. I've said that a few times, but he's a very, very bland villain in my opinion. He's got one goal. He's very one-dimensional. But I think my biggest problem with him in the way he's scripted is I don't understand how he's so strong. Like I think he kind of suffers from like what I would consider Dragon Ball Z syndrome. If you're familiar with that show, it's like, all right, how are you this strong? But Drax can't land a punch on him. Like Drax is literally a rag doll against Ronan. He literally can't land a punch. He can't do anything. But Drax can kind of hold his own against the Thanos without the gauntlet. Like hand-to-hand combat, Drax can kind of get a few punches in, and you know it's like Ronan just seems a little too overpowered in this movie, and that kind of fits in with his whole the issues I have with him as a whole is like he just doesn't. He's just not complete in my eyes. Like he's very bland, and I just don't get why he's so strong. Like he doesn't fully work for me. He's the one. If there's a negative, he's the one thing about it. I feel like it's worth talking about.
Most people would agree. Yeah, I never cared about it. Like it never bothered me a lot because there's so much goodness in this movie.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
It's a fair point for sure.
I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel because he's his character's in that movie. I'm looking forward to because I've only seen Captain Marvel once so far. So no, twice. Seen it twice. But I'm looking forward to rewatching it again. Just to see how Ronan is in that compared to this movie. Just because watching these movies now with such a attention for detail because I know I'm going to be talking about it or whatever. So I'm looking forward to seeing it if he played a little bit differently in that.
I almost feel like in Captain Marvel they go the whole self-aware approach and like, okay, we kind of make Ronan this very bland guy, like let's just double down and make him that again, and like they have some really I think it's well done.
Yeah, he was even more bland than he was here, which is for sure
funny.
And yeah, it's kind of amazing like in the scheme of things that Thanos is so important to this, and like I think back and like he was really a small part of this movie, even though he was like I don't know. It's hard to describe with him.
He's the puppet
kind of amazed
master.
we didn't. Yeah, for sure. It's just the spirit in the sky. If you know what I'm saying.
Come on.
How many you got left?
I'm waiting
That's
for one.
You to find out.
I'm waiting for one. I know what I'm interested.
Good. We'll keep that going then. So I think we're just about to the portion in the show here, unless anyone's got some closing thoughts that we haven't covered yet. We want to get to our rankings.
Yeah.
I am excited to see where this goes, and I'm ready to fight for this one. I'm just saying. So we'll figure that out. But first, we'll go around. Any closing thoughts? Anything that we didn't mention that we wanted to get to?
I got
no,
nothing.
John's
man.
good.
We gushed about this movie for what are we at? An hour and 25 minutes. Like we did our jobs.
Nothing for me.
I have one thing I want to say. In 2014, this was the best Star Wars movie since 1983. That's my
facts. I said that in the pre-show. Facts.
Yeah, it's the best Star Wars movie to come out since we heard it. You have all the elements. It's this huge brand new universe you're not used to. So many practical effects, which J.J. Abrams would a year later fix for Star Wars. But just it's just so great. It brought me back to that that feeling I had when I was a kid watching the Star Wars movies. Like this, all brand new, fresh. I had very little knowledge of what this was all about.
Yeah. I think they do a really good job with like. I don't know, Star Wars, you have the technology, you have like the ships and you have the lightsabers. They capture that same thing again, man. Like there's so much cool technology that goes into this movie that it's just part of the world. You don't think about it, but they show you in such cool ways, like those magnetic grenades, like when he's going through the temple to find like that the orb for the first time, like the way he deactivates it, like it has the style about it that like it's very similar to the way Star Wars made me feel when they introduced all this cool space technology to me. I think this movie nails it just as well, if not better.
You have a character that kills people by whistling. It's fantastic.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
He whistles a little
great.
pointy food at their face. It's great.
Now, even though I agree with what Del just said, best Star Wars movie since 1983, I agree with that. The only thing I say, because I've seen people draw parallels to Star Wars before, and I know I did even with that dogfight scene. But I know a lot of people have said that this movie is a lot of this upcoming generations, this is their Star Wars, even though, Star Wars had come back, but that was before that. I personally don't draw as many parallels to Star Wars as a lot of people do. I just look at this as another great sci-fi movie. Like I get what a lot of people say when they draw those comparisons, but I don't think Star Wars in any capacity, except just for that dogfight scene, only because I haven't seen dogfights like that since Star Wars. And even then, some of the prequels had some just decent scenes with that. So that's the only thing I'll add to that, because I know a lot of people draw parallels to this in Star Wars. It's like, I don't see laser swords here. I don't see that. I don't see nobody poking people. But on the flip side, you have Infinity Stones. So
yeah, I think it's not necessarily so much from like a parallel standpoint, but
maybe it's
more
the
of an
best
influence.
sci-fi movie since Star Wars. Maybe that's a better way to phrase
Sure.
it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's more than that, though. Josiah, you go ahead. You're the Star Wars. I don't want to.
I'm one of a few here.
Step on your toes.
One of a few. I for me, it is, truly, no pun intended. We keep talking about hooked on a feeling, but like it truly captured that essence for me, and that's why I draw it back. Like it was this new property, this new IP that nobody. Well, I say new IP to the big screen.
Yeah,
so
it was a new property that should have been a flop on the big screen, like Star Wars originally they planned it to be.
Comes around and people are like, okay, what's this? Fox doesn't even have faith in it. George Lucas retains the rights to the merchandise. He gets the last laugh. Like it instantly becomes a phenomenon. This maybe not on that scale. I think that's fair to say. But Guardians of the Galaxy, like when I saw it, it stuck with me and it grew more and more. It just ingrained into my my love for an IP. I never thought that I could love an IP even close to Star Wars. Like I really, really love Lord of the Rings. There's a few other ones, Batman and the Dark Knight trilogy, but we got here and we got the movie and it was it. Like there was no turning back for me. I fooled around and fell in love. That was it. So Del, you wanted to mention something else.
Well, I think one of the parallels is in Star Wars: A New Hope, you have these characters who are drawn together by a crazy set of circumstances, and then that become like a family. And then in Guardians, you have these characters that are drawn together by these extraordinary circumstances and become a family. I mean, all the way from you've got Leia and you've got Gamora. Leia's a princess of a planet, and Gamora is the daughter of Thanos. You've got Star-Lord, which we all love because he's Luke and Han together in the same character.
Yes.
And Groot and Chewbacca, and then you have C-3PO, who is this sentient, basically droid, and maybe we can shoehorn Rocket into that as well too, because he's not something that's supposed to be but exists anyways. That's a stretch. Maybe ignore that. And then I don't know where Drax is yet, but he's in there somewhere too. So you just have like the concept is you have these characters who are from all different areas of the galaxy, and now they're on an adventure together, and that's Star Wars. And then
you have the whole dad thing too, right? Like with Ego and with Thanos, like it truly, I think that's a great point, Del. I'm sorry, keep going.
That's why we needed Del back. See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't generally like to relinquish my, my crown in a lot of cases, but Del, you earned that one. That was good. That was good.
It's not a crown.
His hat, I should say.
He's gone.
What are the main culprits?
We lost Joe. He's back. He said 10 seconds. It's like 3 seconds. He'll be back. He's nice and easy. And he's here.
Man.
Were we boring you? I'm sorry. Was there an issue here? Like, are you not entertained?
Sorry.
Welcome back.
No, man. It's good to be back, Rashad. It's good to be back.
Yeah. That was a great escape.
So much. It's been like 5 years. Where have you been?
You blipped.
Oh no! You guys look great. Oh man. Do we want to get to ranking this?
Yeah, let's rank this
movie. I'm so anxious. I don't know what's gonna happen. I still don't know what I want to say.
We want to do giveaway first, John?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay. So Del's here. It's always a great time to have him here. 26 Shirts is nice enough to sponsor the show with their Fantastic line of shirts. With that, we are giving away one shirt from that Fantastic line per episode. So all you have to do is, so this week we're going to do Twitter. I think we're bouncing back and forth, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're back to Twitter. This is going to post, usually it's a Monday. It's not going to be a Monday. Today is Wednesday, the 15th we're recording. This will be up tomorrow, the 16th. So hop on Twitter on Thursday, the 16th of July. You will see this tweet. It's going to be good for 1 week. It's going to be very obvious. Hey, this is a giveaway. This is how you enter. Super simple stuff. Retweet, something like that. You'll see it in there, but you will be entered to win a free shirt from Fantastic. So that's been super awesome. So Del, thank you for hooking us up with that, because that has been a lot of fun to give away some awesome shirts.
No, my pleasure.
We've got 10, I think.
Nine
so far.
9 so far,
right? We've got 9 then very, very happy Geekiverse fans, let
Yep.
me tell you. So thank you.
Cool. Want to rank
Happy
this,
to.
guys? All right, let's do it. All right.
Yes, I'm so excited. All right,
Pulling it up.
all right.
All right, it's on the screen.
Pulling it up on my phone.
All right, yeah, you guys pull it up so you can see as well, but I've got it on the screen for viewers at home. Our current rankings, the MCU review. Number 1, The Avengers. Number 2, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Number 3, Iron Man. Number 4, Iron Man 3. Number 5, Iron Man 2. Number 6, Captain America, The First Avenger. Number 7, Thor. Number 8, Thor, The Dark World. Number 9, The Incredible Hulk.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Man, where do we even start this one? I'm going to start it above Iron Man 3 if anybody has any objections.
Nope.
That's a good place to start. Above Iron Man 3.
Rashawn, what about you? What about you? You think this is better than Iron Man 3? I know you got
It's light years better than Iron Man 3.
All right, so we're going to start it right below Iron Man 1. We'll start the votes, all right? Who thinks it is better than Iron Man 1?
Me.
We all do. For audio listeners at home, that's a resounding all of us. Okay.
It's a resounding me.
It's a resounding me. Who thinks this movie is better than Captain America, The Winter Soldier?
Me.
Me too.
I'd buy a team.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It barely matters, but I'm glad to have him. Rashawn, you don't think so?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I don't think so, but I'm not even. I can't even get mad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's fair.
Who thinks that this movie is better than The Avengers?
Hold it. Wait.
come on,
Wait.
no.
Hold for a few seconds, just in case.
Dramatic pause.
All right. Me.
Yeah. Let's go. Me and Josiah vote yes. I'm sorry, man. Like, this movie is more fun. I have more fun with this movie every time I watch it. I respect The Avengers. I love it. It's an accomplishment. This movie had everything going against it. I didn't see this movie in theaters. I didn't care about this movie. I've seen this movie more than I've seen almost any other movie in history. It, like, all of that going for it, I'm sorry, man. This movie stands alone. This was the biggest risk and the biggest reward. This is our new number 1, baby.
Baba Yaga, you never let me down.
I love it.
That is super exciting. You all heard my Ain't No Mountain High Enough, right? Like I was going all in on that.
Yeah.
That I was saving that for the end. It had to be there.
And
I'm so happy that this got there. I didn't know if it was going to get ahead of Avengers. But I'll tell you this: I was willing. If it was, I thought we could get to second. Like, I was pretty confident. I was going to use a snap if it didn't get there. Just saying.
So was I.
But we don't have to.
I love this movie so much. So much. It's the gateway for so many people into the MCU. It is it's so great on every single level.
Tell him, Dell.
It's not.
But guys,
I'm sorry, man. I get it.
The Avengers, Marvel's The Avengers is the culmination of 50 years of comic books actually happening on the screen.
And this did it in one movie.
Exactly. We talked about
For
that.
characters that we didn't care about before.
No, there was no culmination for Guardians of the Galaxy. Stop. See, I was willing to listen to this drivel.
We didn't need a culmination. We didn't need one.
They came together like that.
The Avengers wouldn't have worked without 5 movies before it. That movie had no backstory. We didn't know those characters. We didn't care about those characters. You couldn't have reintroduced the Hulk. It would have been Justice League. This movie did it in one. I'm sorry, man. Like, and again, ask me this next week.
With characters we didn't give a crap about.
I know.
Like characters that people were like embarrassed to talk about.
I get it. And this isn't something for me to get like outraged over. Like, I get it. And it's, like, and I'll even be honest with you. Like, I struggled with it. I wanted to put it number 1 right after watching it. And I had to think on it for several days. And I just I couldn't get there. And you know what it is? You know what it is for me? It all came down to the Battle of New York and just zooming in down, and you have the whole 360 around the guy, the guys and the girl.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like,
it's so good, man. It is.
And then Loki's awesome. I'm taking
100%. 100%.
I don't think anyone would argue with that. Where I come in, where this is bigger to me, and listen, it's incredible that John and I are saying this from our point of view.
Close, man.
But it's with Avengers, there are lulls for me. With Guardians, it is must see all the way through. Like, there's not a moment where I'm like, all right, when does that part come out? Like, it is must watch TV the entire time, and I think that's the best way to put it for how I feel about it.
Agreed. I talked about this before. I kind of have like my filter for ranking these movies because like this is the most subjective thing in the world. There's no like someone could pop on here and give us a thesis as why Thor: Dark World's their favorite and why they think that's the best. Like it's all subjective, right? For me, I think about two things. I think about, all right, what movie do I like more? Like if you were to say, all right, we're watching a movie, do you want to watch this? Like what wins that category? And for me, it's always going to be Avengers on this list. I'm sorry. It's always going to be Guardians on this list, right? And the other side of that coin is what's like objectively more well made. Like what, like when I look into all those factors and the culmination and all the big moments and stuff like that, like try to weigh some objectivity into it. I think Avengers wins there, but for me, Guardians wins so much with like, yo, I want to watch this movie again right now because it's so much fun. I think it just like, I think it takes the cake, but again, I don't know, man. Like you could ask me this next year, and I could flip those two. Honestly, they're so close.
I think you could argue either way for Guardians, John. I know you mentioned two different ways of looking at it. I think you could make an argument from a quality standpoint for Guardians.
Agreed.
How hard it was to put together.
I think so
you can't
too.
go wrong.
I think Avengers wins in that objectivity quality level. I think Guardians is still great. I keep looking at the ranking, and Avengers is just the bigger title because Guardians is a longer thing, so I keep saying Avengers. But I think they're both objectively good, but Avengers wins that battle. But I think that Guardians wins the fun battle so much more. Like I think it runs away with that. Like I want to watch this movie right now. I would watch it twice back to back because I love that movie so much. So again, we're gonna have some angry people. I know we upset Del and Rashawn here, but man, like. It's just so much fun.
I can't get outraged. Like I said, I can't get outraged. Like I struggled with it. You know, I mean,
yeah, I can't get outraged, but I will still disagree.
That's
fine.
fine.
Definitely not like Josiah saying that Iron Man 3 is better than 1. Or what did you say?
Did say
Iron Man 3 was better than 1.
Exactly correct.
That,
yeah, like that's not a moment like this. Isn't a moment like that, but. It definitely catches me by surprise. I think I have, but the reason why I can't get upset, I have heard other people say it. Now, there's a small nerd group that thinks this, but I have heard that people do think that Guardians is better than the Avengers.
If it's so small,
I think we could put a poll out there and find
and mainly for the fun
thing.
factor. Yeah, what I've heard. The one argument that I have heard as well is that Guardians. I mean, I feel like I didn't agree with this when I heard it years ago. But the one argument that I have heard is that we had never seen anything like Guardians. But again, we had never seen anything like Avengers. But Guardians was so unique and so different, and the argument that it was supposed to fail and didn't. Avengers, it was so different, but did we really think Avengers was going to fail? No. There was a chance. There's a chance that any movie is going to fail. But we didn't necessarily think Avengers was going to fail, where Guardians was
an uphill battle.
You know, it was an uphill battle from the jump, and they were able to not only meet expectations but blow the lid off of the expectations. So for someone making that argument, you know, I get it.
Cool.
Yeah, Guardians became a brand very quickly for Marvel, almost, you know, in pop culture nowadays as famous as Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
When before that it was the butt of the joke. So
100%.
Good stuff there. I'm happy we got where we got there.
We've got the official rankings. A new number 1. That's always exciting. I don't know when we're gonna have a new number 1 again, but I'm excited for it because this is my favorite part of the show. I love doing this stuff. This is good.
That's a good question. When will we have a new number 1?
Let's not get too far into it.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything.
I know when. I'm not gonna tell you. Give it a little time. So yeah, super exciting episode. We clearly love Guardians of the Galaxy. Even our other half of the show here, who loves it just not as much, but it's close. We want to know what your rankings are. Can't wait to see the comment section go crazy on social media. I'm into it. No, it's a hill to die on for me.
Agreed.
Go to facebook.com/the Geekiverse as well as Twitter. We are at the _Geekiverse. And don't forget to visit us on Instagram as well. I will wrap things up here with just a quick plug. I'm going to end the show after that. Hopefully I survive this last thing because we got my disappearance out of the way. So hopefully we're good. But John, where can people find you on social media? to tell you how great your opinion is about Guardians being number one.
Oh, I wish that's what people were going to say. You can find me over on Twitter and Instagram at Disruptoid, talking all things MCU. We're back in the swing of things. So usually once we're in this, man, I'm tweeting about this stuff all week. So come hang out. Lots of video game talk over there too, because it's a fun season for that as well. But yeah, come hang out and listen to our newest episode of Geeks Got Game, G3. That was a fun episode. We just published today. It'll be yesterday for you because we're time traveling. But that's our bi-weekly podcast, all things video games. We have a lot of fun with it. So check that out. Be part of the conversation. Stay informed.
You can go visit me on Twitter to talk about Guardians. I'm at TrueKing0. I couldn't do it to it. All right, Rashawn, give us the spiel.
Hold on, wait a minute. Now. You never speak for the king.
I think our list kind of speaks for the king, though.
Listen,
in kind of multiple ways.
I ain't talking about no list. I'm talking about that guy right there that thinks that Iron Man 3 is better than Iron Man 4. I'll never let that go, dude.
Just the facts.
I'm just letting you know now.
Okay.
But yes, you can find me on the Geekiverse here weekly with MCU Reviewed. You can catch me bi-weekly on Geeks Got Game. Follow me on Twitter where I talk about a lot of stuff we talk about on these shows at TrueKing0. And for my fellow gamers out there, you can catch me on Twitch TV as well. I'm streaming some games. I'm going to be playing Ghost of Tsushima that launches this Friday as my next major game. So you can catch me at TrueKing0 on there as well.
It's so crazy. We have the same Twitter handle. Del, you are very famous on Twitter, especially. Tell us again one more time just the mission of Fantastic and 26 Shirts and where people can find you.
Yeah, you can find me, Del Reed, at DELREID. And you can find 26 Shirts at 26 Shirts and Fantastic at Fantastic Tees. And that's across all of the different social media platforms. But yeah, that's it. We just, 26 Shirts, Fantastic. We love sponsoring everything that Geekiverse is doing with this podcast series. And I love that you guys invite me in to do this. I really enjoy it. I missed you guys so much. I really did.
We missed you too, man. We're happy that you're a part of this. Again, everybody check out Fantastic and 26 Shirts. I believe it's 26shirts.com/Fantastic. New merchandise there. Proceeds go from every purchase to charities, family in need, and individual in need. Incredible people helping those in need. And to date, just we're creeping up on $800,000 donated. So very, very moving stuff there. I am at Josiah D. Leroy on social media. So we mentioned the Fantastic giveaway that we do because of Fantastic every episode. What my cohorts did not know is the Geekiverse is doing a few giveaways for this episode. What you guys didn't know was before the show, I recorded just a little video, so maybe we could splice it in. We'll see, or maybe we'll release it as a separate thing. But I was going to be doing what I did and saying every Awesome Mix title throughout. People have to comment on a very specific Facebook status at Facebook, the Geekiverse's Facebook, and tell just the numeric order for what I mentioned those titles in. And I'm going to give a shirt away that says "We Are Groot." There's going to be a second "We Are Groot" t-shirt that is going away. And that is because John called me out on it during the show. So because somebody called me out, I was waiting for one of you to say something. That is a bonus shirt. So
awesome.
3 shirts we're giving away here, thanks to Fantastic and because John called it out. So fun stuff. It's funny. I mentioned it to Lauren and she's like, do it.
Do it.
Do it. She is Palpatine. It's scary. Lots of fun here. As always, thanks for tuning in, whether it was youtube.com/thegeekiverse or any of the major podcast streaming channels. We really appreciate you. We want you to get in the conversation. So visit us on social media. Tell us your ranking. Tell us if we're right. Tell us if we're wrong, how far off base we are. It's all in good fun. For Del, for John, for Rashawn, I'm Josiah. We will catch you next week for Avengers Age of Ultron. Can't wait to get into that discussion. Have a good day.